What's good, Fins Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We got to talk about this article out here about Armando Salguero. You know, if you're a Patreon, if you are a Patreon, you knew about this back in November. I reported exactly what was being said about Tua's work ethic and stuff back in November 6th to be exact. Like, I was already on this. So if you're a patron and you read this, you were not surprised. I want to put that out there first. So, I mean, yet another Barry Horowitz. But, like, if you're a Patreon, again, this is, join the Patreon. All right? Because if you're a Patreon, you already knew about this. And now it's just coming to light and being made public. All right? And that's real talk. I'm keeping it a buck with y'all. So, I mean, it was another day full of just more nonsense. You know what I mean? As Tua, he continues to be on the wrong end of the Flores campaign. So yeah, me personally, I'm looking at this. I knew all about this stuff. I had been hearing this stuff coming out from his camp. And, now that I'm seeing it come out, all I can see is like Flores looks like he's back on his heels in damage control. That's exactly what it looks like is going on right now. So again, if you're a Patreon, you knew about this. This work ethic story, you heard about it in November from me. Again, whatever you want to call them, local media, mainstream media, whatever, late to the party. Late to the party. I already had that before, y'all. I mean, the receipts are just stacking up for a reason right now, eh? It's ridiculous. I keep coming out looking cleaner and cleaner during this thing while it's just getting uglier and uglier for the organization. Man, if Ross and everyone wanted someone to do damage control, because here's my issue. How are y'all letting Flores is out the door, okay? How are you letting him walk all over, his PR team walk all over you right now? Man, I would have put out a video an hour after that Flores thing coming out with people talking about Tua's work ethic. Showing Tua working out with Perform. Look, because let me tell you something. Here's the reality of the situation. And we'll get into this. And I'm gonna bring a lot of stuff tonight in regards to this work ethic stuff. And then obviously we're gonna go over the season and all that jazz too. But you don't win the Elite 11 with a bad work ethic. You don't win a national championship with a bad work ethic. You do not beat out Jalen Hurts and win the starting job under Nick Saban with a bad work ethic. Or, sorry, my bad, a shitty work ethic, as Flores called it. And at the NFL level, you did not rehab the way Tua has back from his injury with a shitty work ethic. Like, there's so much evidence out there that counters this point. I mean, y'all just go back to the offseason and how hype everyone was seeing Tua work out with Perform. That was all work ethic, man. That his work ethic and his body transformation got all of us hyped. He looked like a completely different guy body-wise. That just doesn't happen. Chief Firm says, since when did Tua become Dwayne Haskins? Man, like, and the fact that people are still out here defending Brian Flores. All right. Stop. All right. You can have your feelings about Tua all you want, but what about how he treated Xavier Howard? What about the veteran that walked down the hallway and Flores wouldn't even say hi to him? Like he's Bill Belichick, and how he treated Tom Brady after they won like 5 rings together. Keywords 5 rings. What about the rookie that wanted to walk in and this guy said, if you're going to talk about playing time, you better leave? You want me to drop a better bomb for you? Check this out. YouTube exclusive. who's ready for another story time with reason. Story time with reason. If you want one in regards to Kenny Stills, I got story time for reason. And I don't know if I can tell y'all who it came from, but this is a podcaster I get along with, and he's legit. He's locked in. You know, probably one of the more credible audio podcasts there are. And basically, the Kenny Stills, what went down with Kenny Stills, and you know, by credible I mean like everyone knows who he is. Let's put it that way, okay? Like everyone knows who he is, and everyone knows what his podcast is. Let's put it that way. Apparently Kenny went up to Brian Flores after Brian Flores had made all those comments, and he asked to clarify what happened. When Kenny made all those comments, he went up to Flores and said he wanted to clarify what he meant by his comments directly to Brian Flores. He walked into his office, and Flores basically told him, and I quote, "Get the fuck out of my office." He called him a slur, and then he tried to cut him. Greer rescinded the waiver and included Kenny Stills in the Tunsil trade instead. And no, it's not a YouTuber. It's someone else. So, man, I could probably just tell y'all anyways. You probably wouldn't care. It's Alf from 3 Yards Per Carry, the homie Alf. He's a good dude, man. He basically said that, again, Kenny Stills went up to Flores, asked to clarify what happened when he made his comments. And basically, Flores told him to get the fuck out of his office, called him a slur, and then tried to cut him. Greer rescinded the waiver and included him in the Tunsil trade instead. So, and that might be public knowledge. He might have put that on 3 Yards Per Carry, but he told me this directly. So, I mean, it's not just Tua. Like, this is what I'm telling y'all. Like, this goes back. Like, this is like, that's 2019 shit right there. Logan, I don't know if it was a racial slur. All I said is called him a slur. Paint that however you want to paint it. That's up to y'all. So, I mean, this isn't like, why are people out here defending that? Listen, we're in 2022. You can't act like this. I don't know what people are so thrown back by this. You can't act like this. I'm sorry, you just can't. This isn't 1980s. This isn't the 1990s anymore. Like, that's what it is. This guy's creating a toxic environment for multiple people, man. And I've been telling y'all on the Patreon since like the off season. You go back to the X thing. I was telling y'all on the Patreon that veterans were watching this closely because there was a feeling that, he didn't respect people that knew the business. He was easier on his teacher pets, Byron Jones, Jerome Baker, and such. And and then rookies because they didn't know the business and they're easier to push around. And then you go look at his coaching staff. His coaching staff's full of a bunch of betas, a bunch of guys who have no serious background. They're on their first year tenure that he can push around. Boyer, I gave you the chance. He can push him around. Godsey Stutesville, I gave you the OC chance. I can push you around. Charlie Fry, I made you a positional coach in the NFL. I can push you around. Lemuel Jean-Pierre, you're the offensive line coach, but it's your first ever job. I can push you around. Gerald Alexander, who I think is an actual star. Gerald Alexander, it's your first job from Cal. I can push you around. You see where I'm going with this? This is not hard when you actually sit back and step outside of the situation and take a look at it. I mean, it's really not hard to see. So, I don't know why people are defending this guy. Listen, you can hate to or you can love to. I don't care. That has no play in this. You know what I mean? I want people to stress that does not impact this. Like, the fact that people are making excuses for this is ridiculous. I'm sorry. Because I'm going to tell y'all right now, if any of y'all talked to me, all of y'all making these excuses, if any of you talk to me the way Flores has been talking to these players, y'all wouldn't be talking anymore. Like, I'm sorry. Y'all would be laid out flat on your back if you talk to me the way this guy's talking to these people. Sorry. Because The difference, there's one thing to be hard on a player in constructive criticism. It's another thing to make it personal. And what people don't seem to be grasping, maybe they just lack intelligence, is Flores was clearly making this personal with multiple players. Look how disrespectful this guy is. Disrespected Ross on the way out, too. That was reported by Barry Jackson. Right? Read that on the day of the firing. People make an excuse for this? Stop. And some of y'all that think you're tough guys that defend Flores too, if Flores would have talked to you that way, y'all would go at him too. Y'all would go at him too. So don't tell me, right? Like, let's be honest, all right? Like, stop now. If you had any sense of pride, you would stand your ground against someone like that. Bro, my brother, I wouldn't let my brother talk to me like that. I wouldn't let my best friend talk to me like that. My mother doesn't talk to me like that. My wife doesn't talk to me like that. If my dad talked to me like that, I'd rearrange his face, and that's my dad, bro. Stop with this. This is ridiculous. The defending of this. Like, unbelievable. If anyone had sense of pride, they would do the same thing that I'm saying I would do. Let's not act like I'm some unique trying to be tough guy on YouTube. If you're a man, you're going to be a man, bro. You're not going to let someone come here and take swipes at your manhood and try to, emasculate you. Like, it's not going to happen. So, like Xavier Howard. Think about Xavier Howard. This guy drafts Noah Benogany. This guy signs Byron Jones. Then he makes you the cog to his defensive wheel, and he treats you the way he treated you in the offseason. Again, if you're a Patreon, you've known all about it. And we've heard the stories. And he treats you the way he treats you. But if I was Xavier Howard, I'm like, your best player on your team. You highlight me in your scheme like I am the best player in your team, but you're going to treat me like this? Stop. Stop, man. Again, you can take Tua out of this situation here. Like, we don't even got to talk about Tua. And he still comes out looking like a douchebag. You're not Bill Belichick, bro. You haven't won 6 rings. Like, 5 rings. What is happening right now? And what's funny is when me and EM talked before all this stuff happened, I said to EM, I said, you watch. This guy's going to get fired one day. I said this literally like a couple days before he got fired to EM privately. And EM could vouch for this. I said, you watch. This guy's going to get fired, and Matt Patricia type of stuff is going to come out. And here we are. And all it's making, Ross Greer, put your balls on the table. How are you letting Jeff, Byron was his favorite. Okay, he loved Byron Jones. Put your balls on the table, Mr. Ross and Mr. Greer. How are you letting this guy and his PR team run the smear campaign on your franchise and its players, and he's coming out looking clean? Like I said, after that article, I would have had clips coming out of people talking about Tua's work ethic and highlighting it. Just a bow. It's ridiculous. So let's get into it, man. Let's start off with the Flores stuff, and then we'll go off into my season in review. But yeah, let's start off with the Flores stuff, man. All right. So first off, let's start off with what came out today. I'm gonna read you the Patreon post. I'm not gonna show it to you because you gotta have Patreon access. So if you want Patreon access and see it for yourself, go ahead and sign up to the Patreon. But I'll tell you I'll also read my Patreon from November 6th. So here is the article from Outkick from Armando. It said former Miami Dolphins coach Brian Flores spent much of the last 2 seasons telling anyone who would listen how Tagovailoa was the Dolphins quarterback. He repeated it time and time again in press conferences. He sought out reporters, usually from national outlets such as ESPN, to have them relate stories about how the Dolphins were committed to Tagovailoa, even as some teammates were privately criticizing the quarterback. At one, which I've said that players have criticized him again on the Patreon. You just got to be a Patreon. See, I don't give everything to YouTube. Patreon, they get stuff. At one point, Flores said, "I don't know how else to say it. Tua is our quarterback." That was in public. Privately, Flores was not a big fan of his starting quarterback. The picture one gets from multiple sources, including coaches on the Flores staff, is a coach frustrated by Tagovailoa's work ethic. Flores thought it was, per one source, shitty. Flores was frustrated because he didn't think Tagovailoa put in extra time on Mondays and Tuesdays during game week. And if you know Flores, this won't surprise. Flores didn't keep quiet about it. He was really hard on Tagovailoa about it, per source, even in the presence of others. When Flores would find out Tagovailoa was golfing on off days during the season, he'd become upset and criticize him for that. On his off days. Flores benched Tagovailoa twice his rookie season, despite making him the starter, because he felt veteran Ryan Fitzpatrick gave the Dolphins a better chance to win. By the end of the 2020 season, Flores had lost confidence in Tagovailoa. At one point in the 2021 season, he told people within the organization, "We'll never win a championship with this guy," referring to Tagovailoa. To be clear, Flores was part of the collaborative effort to draft Tagovailoa number 5 overall in the 2020 draft. He wanted Tagovailoa at that point. Had Flores balked at drafting Tagovailoa back then, opting instead for Justin Herbert, who was the only other real choice, the Dolphins would have likely gone in that direction, even though general manager Chris Greer and others wanted Tagovailoa. Flores did not ask for that before the 2020 draft, but unlike Greer, who remains convinced Tagovailoa could be a good NFL quarterback, Flores jumped off the bandwagon when he saw Tagovailoa work during the week and play on game days. The coach saw the preparation of results and soured on the player. Flores was leading the proponent of the Dolphins making a push to trade for Deshaun Watson, per multiple sources. And here's the ongoing problem that leaves for the Dolphins. Because Greer is a believer in Tagovailoa, he has a vested interest in seeing the quarterback succeed. And so the Dolphins are looking for a new head coach who will at least be open to the idea of sticking with Tagovailoa and furthering his development. That's why I've told y'all on the Patreon and publicly, I'm hearing Brian Daboll is the early front runner by a clear margin, quote unquote. That new coach, and that's from me, that's not from the article about Daboll. That new coach will be given the authority to make up his own mind on the quarterback, but the Dolphins don't want the coming evaluation from the new coaching staff to be biased against Tagovailoa before it begins. All right, so I mean, sure, it came out there, and I guess some people were like taken aback by it, but it didn't shock me. All right. And I'm going to tell you why it didn't shock me. All right, let's read my Patreon here. I'm going to read it to you. Again, if you want to become a Patreon, here it is right here. Man, like, I just keep getting my receipts keep stacking up on my favorite, but patreon.com/Phinside the NFL. I give you insider info that I can post when I get it. And Patrons know how legit my people are. So, all right, and I've gone over that. I'm not going to go over it every time here. Okay. So on November 6th, all right, I had a post called Patreon Only Insider Info. Are sides being chosen between Tua and the coaches? Plus, Waddle wants out. All right. I was being told Waddle was not happy under the current situation. So I'm going to read y'all verbatim exactly what went down. So the stuff I've heard isn't exactly what fans of Tua or those who believe in him want to hear. Directly from a prominent beat writer, since last Saturday before the Bills loss, I've been hearing things. On Thursday, I heard even more, and it's not favorable or painting a good picture of Tua. Here's been what I've been told. Starting on Saturday, October 30th, 2021, I was told, quote unquote, a divorce is imminent, with the latest reason being that he doesn't study hard enough. I was told his teammates don't like him, quote unquote, he isn't one of the guys. Even whispers Alabama teammates didn't like him. Next one, Najee Harris could have helped the situation, but obviously wasn't drafted in terms of getting him acclimated with the players in the room. It's going to be, here's a good one. It's going to be either Tua or the coaches by the end of the season. And obviously this last part is wrong, but and the sense is it will be Tua gone. So, I mean, that first half it's either going to be Tua or the coaches by the end of the season. What happened? I talked about Chris Sims' take about Tua not being a game changer is thought to have been told to him by a coach on the staff. If you remember going back to Chris Sims when he was talking about how Tua wasn't a game changer, it was like beginning of November-ish. And that was end of October-ish. And it was believed to come from a staff member because that had been heard by someone directly from a coach. Quote unquote, Tua isn't what he's packaged to be, is what was also coming out. Then on November 5th, I heard the belief amongst some in the building is that his arm limitations will prevent him from being a top 10 quarterback. He apparently hasn't worked hard enough to be a leader. Like right there. Plenty of the franchise's frustrations are unfairly directed at him, but quote unquote, he isn't innocent. Quote unquote, he isn't what he portrays himself to be. And people who are learning this are stunned by what they're hearing. 5 wins. Check this one out. I said 5 wins is apparently the benchmark for him to gain some cachet with Ross. How many wins did he have? I forgot I put that in there. Oh, baby. 7-game win streak. I said the 5 wins was the cachet. I totally forgot I reported that. All right, next one. His owner, his coaches, and his teammates, quote unquote, aren't into him, and they've concluded he's not worth building around. That's what I was told. They don't like his ability to throw outside the numbers. All right, so then here's the rest of that post. After the October 30th info came my way, I spoke to people at Perform who said his teammates like him and may label him as a recluse, but as someone who saw him with the receivers and the linemen this offseason, Nick Hicks told me the relationship is strong. Also, dating back to the summer when Nick was describing to me the gym Tua built in his garage that he's been famously photographed working out at by Perform, Nick described how inside Tua's house, it's nothing but double-sided whiteboards with plays and notes drawn everywhere throughout multiple rooms. So the study notion contradicts what I've heard previously from people close to Tua. I would also say Tua trying to bring the offense together to work and get better at Perform is displaying the traits of a leader. What stood out to me, so those are all the bullet points and facts I was told. Now I'm giving my opinion in the same piece. What stood out to me is the implication that a coach talked to Sims. I feel like sides are being chosen and character is being attacked on both sides. I literally said that once I heard everything. I was telling EM and like it feels like it's Team Flo versus Team Tua right now, and it's whoever can get out ahead and start getting at the other person because they know it's coming. Like, what did I say? Divorce is imminent. It's going to come down to Tua or the coaches. I said that. This is November 6th. I was reporting this from stuff I heard from October 30th to November 5th. I dated everything too. All right. And then I said, if people remember the Jason Lacken 4 article, in it, it's the one that says, it's called Desperation Mounting in Miami as Brian Flores struggles to connect with players amid losing skid. In it, there's a quote that says, and I quote, there's a significant locker room backlash a year ago from when Flores began yo-yoing his quarterbacks and showing a quick hook with rookie Tagovailoa, sources said. Despite a 10-win campaign, there were lingering questions among many players about the continual overhaul of the staff and players and concerns about the inability to connect with the coach. I said, this report contradicts teammates not liking him or supporting him. After all, if they didn't like him like this, why is this prominent beat reporter for CBS hearing that, why would Jason Lackenfora be reporting they don't like how the coaches are handling him as well as the coaching turnover? I interpret that as meaning players aren't fans of the current staff. This is getting ugly, and I believe a divorce is inevitable. Unless Tua does what I said in the offseason he needed to do and earn the most cachet in Ross's offense, he's got 9 games to do so. Also, another tidbit from a totally different source. So this is not from the same person that told me all of that stuff I just told you. This is a totally different source. I've heard Jalen Waddle is unhappy and wants out. The main cause being how he's being used by the coaching staff. And then you notice they started using him differently after I reported this. The same person also told me there are whispers of a mass exodus this offseason player-wise. With my previous reporting of Fuller stepping away for personal reasons to contemplate retirement, as well as Xavier Howard being the anonymous player PFN reported on considering retirement, it seems the mass exodus isn't a far-fetched idea, with players willing to consider ending their career over it. Rough time for Dolphin fans, and a regime change is clearly needed in Miami. And I said that on November 6th. So I was hearing players were so happy. They were so just unhappy. The PFN report of a player retiring, I heard that was Xavier Howard. I reported what I reported about Will Fuller, that he was contemplating retirement. That guy never played he played one game and then he was gone. I was hearing other players were thinking about not re-upping in the offseason. Dude, so that was November 6th I was reporting that. So there you go. Right? November 6th, I'm reporting they don't think he's studying hard enough and they don't think he's working hard enough to be considered a leader. November, I had that. I mean, you guys heard everything in that piece. It was clearly evident. Now, remember, two different sources. The Waddle stuff was from a different source, separate to what I heard before. You know what I mean? But just to give y'all an implication, all that stuff I heard and was saying that was going on inside about Tua and everything, that came from the same source that gave me a lot of the X stuff that ended up being right. So it's legit. If you actually sit back and look at like November 6th, now you see what's going on. That's why my patrons were not thrown back by that. They were shocked he got fired, but they knew how bad. See, now people were coming out here and saying I'm not Flores. I didn't like Flores because of Tua. Now y'all know it's deeper than that. I heard Waddle was unhappy. I knew X was. There's previous reports I got from X. Go join the Patreon. You can go read them and see them all. Go read the X stuff. You can see how unhappy X was. You can see the stuff I was reporting about other players watching the X situation. Like, this was a multi-player throughout the locker room thing. All right. So now let's stick to the work ethic here. All right. Because like I said earlier, you do not win the Elite 11 with a shitty work ethic. You do not win a national championship with a shitty work ethic. You do not become the starting quarterback under Nick Saban with a shitty work ethic. You do not. And guys, Tua might not even be the quarterback next year. But I'm trying to we got to speak facts here. People can say I'm defending the kid all they want, whatever. No. We're keeping it a buck. All right. Let's keep it a buck. You do not come back from the injury he had with a shitty work ethic. You don't. That is a career-threatening injury. You do not cut. And in the time he did people thought it was impossible he'd have a pro day. The guy went out there, put up enough work to have a pro day. So don't give me this work ethic bullshit. Now, the results on the field aren't what we wanted. 110%. I agree with that. But, there's also context as to, and Tua's shoulders some of the blame, of course, but there's context to why we didn't get the results we wanted. It wasn't just Tua's performance. It was the offensive line, the running game, the coaching staff in terms of play calling, play design at time. Again, broke down every drawback of Tua Tagovailoa on this channel. Ain't nothing anyone can tell me about Tua Tagovailoa. So, now Tua need to be more consistent reading all three levels. He needs to stop predetermining reads pre-snap because he's missing open reads when he does that. I get all that. I agree with all of that. But let's not start going after this kid's work ethic, and I'm going to show you why. Because it's dumb. Say that internally, but don't make a public thing about it, because you're just setting yourself up for a guy on YouTube like me to kill you. And this is how I can kill all of that right now. Okay, so let's go back to Tua in college. All right, this is Tua in college. All right, this is January 1st, 2017. As they sleep, Tua keeps working. Honolulu Star Advisor All-State Offensive Player of the Year, Tua Tagovailoa, has a work ethic that borders on legendary. So this is before Alabama. When he's not refining his skills, the St. Louis senior spends Sunday afternoons helping his father, Galu, teach skills to youth players in New Beach. Somehow, between training, teaching, and commuting, he finished school early and has enrolled for the spring semester at Alabama. Tagovailoa hits the weight room when he doesn't. So, like, all right. So now he has a legendary work ethic when you go back to his high school. All right. All right. Now let's go to the next level. We ain't done there. We ain't done there. All right. Because I got the ultimate one too coming in. All right. So now let's head to let's go to Bama. All right. And let's go to September 2019. Let's see what Saban said about him. All right. This is what Saban said. I can't believe I have to do this. This is ridiculous. Tagovailoa's work ethic might be the best. Tua Tagovailoa's work ethic to be the best quarterback he can be has never been questioned. Well, now it has. However, he might be working a little too hard according to his head coach. I'm sure he's not satisfied with where he is and works hard every day, Alabama coach Nick Saban said, sometimes too hard. Saban's comments about Tagovailoa come after the junior signal caller posted him and his younger brother, Talia, working out at Alabama athletics facility following the team's win over Duke last Saturday. So he's beating teams, and then he's going hitting the field and he's working out. But he has a bad work ethic. All of a sudden, the work ethic went away at the next level. Smear campaign. This is what this was. Okay, now let's go. Bama Central, September 9th, 2019. All right. Oh, it gets better. The article after this one's even more beautiful. It's the mic drop. Alabama trying to keep Tagovailoa from working like quote-unquote crazy. Nick Saban is trying to teach the star quarterback that at times less can be more. Nick Saban loves the work ethic of his quarterback, but he's also trying to teach him to tone it down a little. While meeting with reporters on Monday afternoon, Tua Tagovailoa admitted that Saban sat him down last week and suggested that he tone down some of his extra workouts, like the one he did hours after the Crimson Tide's season-opening victory against Duke. Why? Because a couple of days his arm started hurting. That's how hard this guy was working out. This is what Tua said. So after the Duke game, I worked out after the Duke game, and then I worked out with the team Sunday, and then Monday we had another lift. We were throwing on Tuesday, and I kind of felt my arm. I was a little fatigued. Coach Saban ended up talking to me on Wednesday after Wednesday's practice, and he told me, why did my arm start hurting? That was the only game we played. So I explained to him what I did after the game, and Coach Saban told me that's not the way to go about things. This is how we should go about things. It'll only lead to, something not good. That's why we have to set this up the way it is. So this kid was working so hard, he got told to tone it down by Nick Saban, who, guys, Nick Saban demands greatness the same way Flores does. What are we talking about right here? Like, seriously, what are we what conversation are we having here right now? But it gets better. So we all know Jerome Baker and Byron Jones are probably two of Brian Flores' biggest teacher pets. Well, let's just go back to his rookie year. Jerome Baker's story about Tua shines light on the rookie's quarterback's work ethic. In 1 week, the Dolphin fans will finally get to see Miami's 5th overall pick in the 2020 draft, Tua Tagovailoa, jog onto the field and start his first NFL game. And he said, it's been quite the year for the former Alabama quarterback. A hip injury, a successful surgery, media constantly asking, are you healthy? Do you feel ready? Those questions seem to be answered when he stepped on the field for Ryan Fitzpatrick last Sunday in the win over the New York Jets, completing both passes he threw and netting 9 yards in his debut. While fans haven't been able to watch Tua's progress over the last few months, his teammates have been there every step of the way. We threw so many different looks at him, said Jerome Baker, telling reporters about the first practice where Baker and his teammates faced Tua. Instead of getting down on himself or saying it's too hard or whatever, getting emotional after practice, it was me and Bobby McCain. He came by and just asked us questions. He asked for advice on what he can work on, what can he see, whatever it is that he can get better. I think that was the one thing that really stuck out to me. He truly wants to get better. He truly wants to help us win. I'm definitely happy that he gets his shot. So, I mean, this guy's out here praising to his work ethic, and this is Flores' boy. And Flores' whole issue comes to what Tua does on his days off, the days he earned. Listen, I'm going to tell you this one. When they threw him on IR, he was ready to go for the Colts game. They did not need to put him on 3-game IR. They did that. They played their games, man. After the Ravens game, we beat the Ravens, and he went golfing. Is there an issue with him golfing after we beat the Ravens game? After we beat the Ravens? Like Tom Brady golfs all the time. Aaron Rodgers golfs all the time. Where are we going here? Like, this is just so ridiculous. It's unbelievable. And it doesn't take more than what? 10, 15-minute search to find so many sources of Tua growing up, not just recently, but growing up, that counter this. And again, listen, I want people to realize, not only do I talk to Nick Hicks, guys, I've had cousins of Tua Tagovailoa hit me up. I've had legit family members hit me up and tell me they like, my channel, and they like how, I keep it objective with Tua, but I always, all the detractors that spew the nonsense, they like how, I put an end to that. And I've never once had anyone doubt his work ethic. I've heard nothing about great things about his work ethic. Now, again, did we get the results we wanted to see this year? No, it was underwhelming, especially for that, giant, after the Giants game, that 3-game streak that was underwhelming. 3 of the last 4 games of the season were underwhelming. They didn't really ask him to do much in the final game. I mean, they trotted out the game plan they should have had for the Titans the week before, a week late against New England. So, I don't know, man. It's just, you look at this, and this guy is on a legit smear campaign, and people are letting him get away with this. Like, it's ridiculous. It's just, I don't know. Now it just reeks of desperation. That's all it does for me. All right, let's get into my season review. But before we do, guys, smash that like button. Subscribe if you knew there's 340 of you in the room. Go ahead, smash that like button, man. If you'd like to donate, PayPal.me/Phinside. You can also do so through the super chat. Become a Patreon. I mean, if what I've shown you tonight didn't give you much reason, I don't know what will, because there's going to be a lot of news coming my way, especially as this coaching stuff goes on. So go check it, patreon.com/Phinside the NFL. You can also become a YouTube channel member. I'm going to be dropping a Jalen Waddle film study in the next 2 weeks. And you guys are going to get early access if you're a Patreon or a channel member, because channel members, they also get the emojis in the chat and badges next to their name. PatchVibes.com, use code Phinside, save 20% off your order. And then backroomcollection.net, use code REASON to save 10% off your order. They have a Javon Holland signing coming up. Go check them out. Nice canvases. ThriveFantasy.com, use code Phinside. Have every dollar up to your first 100 deposit matched. And guess what? Here's the thing with Thrive Fantasy. There's not much time left to bet on football. So it's the playoffs. Go check them out. All right, let's get into this, and let me try and describe how I want to break this down. So, I got different categories I kind of want to award. So I guess like Phinside end of the season awards or whatever. I want to go through that. I want to look at how the team stacked up by the end of it. Did they meet expectations? All of that stuff, right? So, let's start off with how this team stacked up, team ranking wise in the league. We'll save the awards for the end or whatever. And let's start off with this. Okay, so if we head on over to Pro Football Reference. All right. So, you can see the team stats and rankings up there. So let's go through them, okay? So if you look at the league rank on offense, all right, they rank 22nd in points for, 25th in total yards, 25th in turnovers, 23rd in first downs. as a passing offense, they were 8th in attempts league wide, 17th in yards, 20th in touchdowns, and 14th in interceptions, and they were 26th in net yards per attempt. As a rushing offense, we were 18th in attempts, 30th in yards, 24th in touchdowns, and again yards they had about 1568. Passing yards collectively, we had 3,651, 21 collective passing touchdowns. So rushing touchdowns, they were 24th in the league with 12. Yards per attempt, 3.5, which was 34st in the league. Not good whatsoever. Like, oh my God. Look at our average drive, 23rd in the NFL. Average drive time was 18th in the NFL. Average plays per drive was 16th in the NFL. Average yards per drive was 26th, and average points per drive was 27th. Now, when you look at the defense and how it ranked, they were number 16 scoring defense. They were number 15 in yards against. They allowed 5,219 yards. They were the 8th best in turnovers. They had 26. They were 4th best in fumbles lost. They had 12. Sorry, the opponents, my bad. Opponents had 5,738 yards against. I apologize. They allowed 337 first downs, which was 14th best. So when we go into passing defense, the league ranked, they were the 26th passing defense in attempts against. They were 16th in passing yards allowed. They allowed 3,871. They allowed 23 passing touchdowns, which was 6th best in the NFL. They had 14 interceptions, which ironically enough was 14th best in the NFL. They allowed 5.9 yards net yards per attempt, which was 7th best in the NFL. And then in rushing yards, when you head over there, so they had the 8th most rushing attempts against, but they had allowed, they were 14th in terms of rushing yards allowed. They allowed 1,867. In touchdowns, they allowed 16, which was 18th best. They allowed 4.4 yards per carry, which was 18th best. All right. They had a 10 turnover percentage, and then they have a percentage of drives ending in a scoring drive. Against them, they were 10th because only 13%. When you look at average drive time, they were 7th. They allowed an average drive time of 2 minutes 39 seconds. They were 8th. They allowed about 5.8 plays from their opponents per drive, which was 8th best. In yards per drive, they allowed 29.7, which is 8th best. And in points per drive, they allowed 1.9, which was 9th best as a defense. So defensively, pretty good. No complaints. I mean, rushing defense, if they would have played the way they did for the last half of the season, the first half, they would be way better. But when you look at offense, clearly lacking. Rushing and, passing. Let's be honest with ourselves here. 30th in rushing yards, 24th in rushing touchdowns. Not good. Not good. And you know what? Those are respectable numbers for the fact that Jacoby Brissett impacts some of this. So middle of the pack numbers, right? So that's what it looks like when you look at, our team stats and our team rankings. Pretty good on defense. Offense definitely needs some work. Imagine what those passing numbers and rankings would be, if we had a running game. Think about that one for a second. So you look at this, you factor in they finished 3rd in the AFC East, 9-8, missed the playoffs. Did this team meet expectations? No, it did not. I mean, I do not think that's even an argument right now. This team did not meet expectations. Like, that's just what it is. Don't know what else to say. Not trying to hate, but that's just what the facts are right now. They did not meet expectations for this season by any stretch of the imagination. So, they did not meet expectations. You know, I think when you talk about the changes that need to be made, now obviously the quarterback position needs to be figured out. We need to have a long-term, solution that everyone agrees on with the new head coach and the front office moving forward. The offensive line needs to be fixed. The coaching staff needs to be figured out with a new head coach. On top of that, um, the running game, we need an alpha back in there. We need depth built in the wide receiver core. I mean, there's a lot of changes that need to come in right now on the field offensively and on the sideline coaching staff personnel wise. Now our defense, we need a mic. So, and this leads me like my biggest needs, my top 5 needs for this season to me, heading into the offseason would be, you know, I think I would go what? Tackle. Um yeah, I would go, let me see here. Tackle, center, wide receiver, running back, and linebacker. And you could even throw interior help in there too. Where my thing with center is if you get that center, you can kick Dieter back to left guard. But I mean, you may even need interior help depending on the new coaching staff. Right now, I got tackle, center, wide receiver, running back, and linebacker as our 5 biggest needs heading into this offseason. Those are my 5 biggest needs right now because I think Dieter was not impressed. He was not an upgrade for Karras. He needs to be kicked back to guard. All right. Um, so there's a ton of changes that need to be made when you look at this right now. So it is what it is. All right, let's start getting into stuff I've labeled here. So my most improved player this year is Christian Wilkins. I mean, we all asked him to take a step forward this year, and I truly think he delivered. I think Christian Wilkins, I think he had a pretty good year. Man, I just I liked what I saw from Christian Wilkins this year. I gotta give this man props. You know what I mean? Christian Wilkins, he had 31 pressures this year. He had you know 4 batted balls. He just was killing it this year. Had 56 tackles on top of it, 23 assists, and he had 43 run stops. And what's so amazing about the 43 run stops, I apologize, 35 run stops, is he was first in the NFL this year. Um, he was phenomenal against the run, and he added Christian Wilkins. The fact of the matter is this, guys. Um, you know, he added a pass rush element to a game that we wanted to see improvement in. You know what I mean? We got it. We wanted to see improvement this year from a pass rush aspect, and I don't know what else to say. We got it, ladies and gentlemen. We got 4.5 sacks this year, and his career best was a rookie was 2. The man doubled it. So really, really happy. With 4 pass deflections as well, forced fumble recovery, and then he had the cut touchdown pass. Christian Wilkins is out here and he's trying to earn that money, and I think he is. So I think Christian Wilkins was definitely the most improved player. When you look at this year, man, you got to give him props. You got to call a spade, man. So shout out to Christian Wilkins. I mean, he's out here looking to now. Raekwon Davis had his struggles. I see people talking about Raekwon Davis. He had his struggles this year, especially in that Tennessee game. He was one of our worst players on the field in the Tennessee game. The most disappointing player for me this year was, I mean, this is easy, Noah Benogany. I mean, it was either going to be him or Jason Sanders for me. And at least Jason Sanders put points on the board for us. I mean, Noah Benogany, or as I call him, Noah inactivity. You know, um, what can I say? I feel like this guy is going to be going out the door. This guy is not going to be on the field, I think, under a new regime. This guy did nothing for us this year. Like, I know Sanders missed key field goals, but he also made field goals. So at least he contributed. You know what I mean? This guy contributed nothing whatsoever. Second year in a row. So no Igbenogany to me. After especially how they're trying to hype him in the offseason, wearing his shades and all that kind of stuff. And I see people willing Fuller. I'll give Fuller credit. At least he caught 4 catches for us. At least Fuller caught 4 catches for us. Noah Igbenogany is just Noah Igbenogany looks like he's just going to be a waste of a pick. Like ridiculous. So Noah Igbenogany is most disappointing, but I could get if you say Fuller. It's just at least Fuller caught 4 footballs. Jesus. Best moment for me was Waddle breaking the rookie reception record. You know, shout out to the homie Jalen Waddle, baby. You know, I remember people trying to tell me and me arguing with people about this guy being wide receiver 1 and about him. People, people out here trying to say that he would have been a bad pick. That this guy would have been a bad pick and would have been the wrong pick. And this man goes out here and he does what he does this year. I'm sorry, man. Y'all need to put some respect on this man's name. This guy, I believe in 3 years. I truly believe in 3 years this guy is going to be a top 3 receiver in football. I think he's already well on his way. Jalen Waddle, he is just that dude, man. Like, he is that dude. And we didn't even fully utilize him. That's what's scary. I mean, imagine if they bring in a Mike McDaniel or Brian Dable or a Jim Caldwell or Jim Harbaugh and what they could do with this guy. 104 receptions, 1,015 yards, 6 touchdowns. What a great rookie season. So, it took DVP how many years for a 1,000-yard season? But that was the best moment, man, for me this year. Beautiful because, hey, it just validated my draft evaluation. That's all. So the game of the year for me was a primetime win over the Ravens. I mean, does anyone remember like the whole drama of the game and the second half and Tua strutting out there and then we take the lead and the energy picked up on the field? The pick 6 by Xavier Howard, getting that Ravens monkey off our back, like that. And it's, it was really what catapulted us, I believe, with that 7-game winning streak. It made that team in there believe they could beat anyone. So to me, this was the game of the year. Best of best, that article you're referring to, that's false information. Michael Lombardi walked back that story yesterday. He said he misspoke. So that is not true. So the primetime win over the Ravens for me was the game of the year. I mean, just how it all unfolded. It was so nice. And it was in primetime for on a national stage for the whole nation to watch. So the game of the year for me was the primetime win over the Ravens. All right. I think our best unit this year, hands down, was the secondary. I mean, you go look at what they did this year. Great year for Xavier Howard. He backed up last year with a really solid year this year. Javon Holland coming out of his shell. And Javon Holland out here, like being one of the best DBs in football in pressuring when he's using that cover 0. I mean, it was nice while it lasted. We're not going to see it as much. But you look at him and Brandon Jones. Brandon Jones had a coming out year, right? Like, Brandon Jones led the league in pressures with 17. Javon was number 2 with 16 amongst all DBs. Amongst safeties. Brandon led the safeties in sacks. Javon Holland was second in sacks amongst safeties. It was just awesome. And Javon Holland, the year he had, absolutely fantastic. Like, the guy is going to be such a stud. I really hope whoever comes in continues his development properly. I really hope so, man. But when take a look at guys like Byron Jones, Coleman had a really good season for a stretch there. But you know, Nick Needham was really good this season. But Justin Coleman had like a 67.6 passer rating when targeted. Byron Jones had a 97.8. Xavier Howard had an 88.2 when he was targeted. Needham had an 81.4. Noah Benogany had a 139.3 when he was targeted. Javon Holland, he had an 88.6 when he was targeted. Brandon Jones had a 114.2. So it was just great stuff, man. And you saw the interceptions, 2 from Javon Holland. Brandon Jones had an interception when you talk about the secondary. When you, X. Look at X. Another 5 interception year for X, 2 for Coleman. Nick Needham had 2. So overall, I think our secondary was definitely our strongest unit once more, and the unit we could lean on the most. So I'll give it to that. Our worst unit was the offensive line. I mean, I don't think anyone has a singular doubt about this. I mean, when you look, it's just disgusting. I mean, like, the fact that as a unit, guys, as a total unit, we allowed 258 pressures. Like, seriously? Like, that is unbelievably ridiculous. And what's crazy is 2 only had a 17%. He only had a 17% pressure to sack ratio. So, like, only 17% of his pressures were turned into sacks. So, I mean, that tells you how much he was avoiding it. And that's like top 10 in the NFL, too, I'm pretty sure. If I remember correctly. It's top 10, top 12. I know that. But, when you look at offensive line, here's the facts. All right. Liam Eichenberg, 62 pressures, second most in the NFL. Jesse Davis, 57 pressures, fourth most in the NFL. Austin Jackson kicked inside, so now he wasn't left on islands and could save himself a bit. Still finished with 49 pressures. And those 49 pressures, 7th best in the NFL. So we had 3 of our linemen were in the top 8. Yeah. Not good. Not good. Historically bad. Like, worst pass block win rate in the NFL when the season was done. Their current pass block win rate, let me bring that up for you right here. It is just for example, Los Angeles Rams, their pass block win rate right now is like 68%. Just to tell y'all where we're at. So with that in mind, the best in the league is 68%. Y'all ready for this? Here is your pass block win rate for the Miami Dolphins. 47%. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Cincinnati are tied at 30 and 31 with 49%. So the number 1 team in the league and the number 2 team in the league are tied at 68%. The Dolphins have a pass block win rate, 21%. points lower. And remember, pass block win rate means when you can hold your block for longer than 2.5 seconds. So there you go. I stand by my statement. Worst unit, maybe in football, not just on this team, maybe the worst unit in all of football. There's a debate to be made for that. All right, so the offensive MVP, man, y'all know what time it is. It's Jalen Waddle, baby. What do you know about that? Jalen Waddle, an absolutely phenomenal season. I mean, could we ask for more from a rookie? This kid is just so special. He had the rookie record for receptions, but he also obviously had the team rookie record as well now, the franchise rookie record. I believe he has a franchise rookie record for receiving yards as well, too. But like, just what an absolute monster. You look at his biggest game this year, when he had 137 against Carolina, just huge on 9 receptions on 10 targets. But this is a guy who's targeted 138 times, 104 receptions. So he had a 75.4 reception percentage. He had 1,015 yards. He averaged 9.8 yards per reception. You remember he was averaging like just over 4 when Brissett was in. So that tells you how much Tua boosted up his numbers. So he finished with 6 touchdowns as well, man. So you look at him, he took about 38.3% of his snaps out wide, 60.1 in the slot. And of his 1,015 yards, guess what? 455 were after the catch, and he had an average depth of target of about 7 yards even. So, man, what a stud. Jalen Waddle. I don't think there's anyone that's going to argue this. I mean, who are you going to make an argument for? You know what I mean? Like, try to make an argument for someone else. I just don't think you can. I just don't think you can. And then my defensive MVP for the year is X. I mean, this man, game stealing interception against the Ravens, has that key interception against New England, putting our offense in a position to seal the game. You look at him this year. We didn't get our our 10 receptions, but we got 5, which was the third best of his career. He had the third most pass breakups of his career too. He had 7. He had an 88.2 NFL passer rating when he was targeted. He was last year he allowed about 14.8 yards per reception. This year he allowed only 14.9. His reception percentage last year was 52.2. This year is 57.1 when he was targeted. So only 57% of the throws thrown his way were actually caught. He had the second most run stops of his career too. He had 13. He just had a great year. Xavier Howard, worth the money. I know people were doubting him, but you can't doubt him now. And then my play of the year. The play of the year for me was Robert Hunt's non-touchdown. Robert Hunt's non-touchdown was an absolute thing of beauty, man. It's crazy, man. I wish that play would have counted, but obviously ineligible. But that's got to be the play of the year, man. They made shirts of it. They made shirts of this. It was an awesome play and it was an awesome time. I know it didn't count, but Robert Hunt's non-touchdown was awesome. Was awesome to me. That's when I look back on the season, those are all the things I'm going to take away from the season. Overall, we didn't meet expectations. We got big changes on the horizon on the offensive side of the football and obviously to the coaching staff, and we hope that we get the right guy so we can turn it around and we can, get to the playoffs next year. So guys, I'm going to get out of here. Appreciate all of y'all for spending an hour with me. I'm gonna go enjoy my Friday night. And I'm gonna be back on Monday the latest. All right. So I will see all of you. If anything breaks, obviously I'll be back too. Obviously, another thing I wanted to point out. Dolphins. They did request an interview with Thomas Brown of the Rams. So I just wanted to pull that up for you guys so you see that, so we're up to date. And this guy is really like highly regarded around the league, is Thomas Brown. So I wanted to pull up. Actually, there's another thing I wanted to show you guys too. So hold on a sec. We ain't going anywhere. So let me bring this up for y'all. There's another clip I wanted to play too. So here you go. Here you go. The Dolphins, according to Tom Pelissero earlier, this is what he reported. Dolphins put in a request to interview Rams running backs coach, assistant head coach Thomas Brown for their head coaching job. Former Georgia and NFL running back Brown reminds some in the league of a young Mike Tomlin on the rise at age 35. So he's even younger than Mike McDaniel. So we have requested an interview for him. And remember, the Dabble interview will be going down on Sunday. All right. And final thing before I get out of here, I wanted to play this for you guys. I don't know if you saw what Marcel said on his podcast, so I want to play that for y'all. And this just goes to speak about the dysfunction inside the organization.
Decide ultimately, as you best understand it now, to fire Brian Flores.
You know what's wild is when we spoke to him Monday, he didn't mention anything football specific one time. I asked him point blank too. I said, you've called your roster full of exceptional young talent. What more could this team have accomplished as currently constructed? And he didn't touch football. He didn't touch offense, defense, anything on the field. He went immediately into, I don't feel like we are collaborating at a level high enough to sustain success in the NFL.
An organization can only function if it's collaborative and it works well together. And I don't think that we were really working well as an organization that it would take to really win consistently at the NFL level.
It's my understanding that, Ross's comments are stemming from Brian Flores, kind of stopped communicating. Really, he stopped communicating with his staff somewhere around really Thanksgiving. And, even about things like, daily meeting plans. Like, it's my understanding that some of, at least, his assistants felt like they just didn't know what was going on in his head. They didn't know what he was thinking. They didn't know what his plan was.
Wow.
And the incredible thing is that, it continued through the winning streak. So they finished 8-1 as he's not talking to people. That's communication. And then collaboration. He and Chris Greer's relationship was, we can call it bad, we can call it non-existent. Both of these would be true. Like they do not have a good relationship right now. But this came from him not having a good relationship with Chris Grier, and Stephen Ross is Team Grier. If one guy had to go, it was going to be Flo, hands down.
So there you go. Like I said, bad business decision. Why would you go up against a guy who's been in the organization for 20 years? I mean, he overplayed his hand. Flores, he overplayed his hand. He thought he was bigger than he was, and he wasn't bigger than the organization, and he was sent packing. But he stopped talking to his staff at Thanksgiving. That is, come on, man. And this is the same guy who was questioning to his leadership. Got to look in the mirror, Flo. That's all I got to say to you. All right, guys. I will be back on Monday at the latest. If anything breaks over the next 2 days, we will hop into it. I actually have a 3-part series I will be starting on Monday. All right. You're going to want to stay tuned. It's going to be a 3-part series. All right. So you're going to want, it's going to be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'm going to be breaking it down for you. I'm not going to tell y'all what it is quite yet because I want y'all to tune in, but Be ready, because we going in on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. All right, guys. All right, until Monday. Love each and every one of you. Have a fantastic evening. Stay happy, healthy, safe, and blessed. You already know what time it is. Fins up all day, every day, baby.